Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So when we think about Hadera, well, we think about pretty much everything. I mean, I just had a conversation just the other day where I was actually talking about Hadera, and I was like, this is one of those projects that has pretty much everything under one umbrella. You have AI, DeFi, institutions, enterprises, tokenization. I mean, it literally has everything that you could think about when it comes to Web3 and crypto, all under one network. It's actually insane. But we are starting to see some pretty big moves being made by the Hadera team. And, one of those big moves is payments. Just recently, we did see a pretty big update actually from crypto.com, which I think is actually pretty exciting. We actually now have deposits and withdrawals of USDC via Hadera enabled on the crypto.com app. This is very exciting because, again, this means volume, transactions, value being moved over the network. Very exciting stuff. And again, very efficient. If you are moving stablecoins over Hadera, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of you have utilized Hashpack in the past. You've bought, sold, traded, whatever the case may be. You know how efficient Hadera is to transact on. And moving stablecoins, it is so easy, so quick, and so cheap. It's quite insane to me. So I think that this is very exciting. And I think that this is just one of many moves that will be made around Hadera when it comes to stablecoins. Don't forget the Philippine banks that will be launching a stablecoin project on the Hadera network as well. And that's also happening this year. But outside of this, let's actually go over to the payment space on Hadera. So this is one of the sections that actually gets me very excited when it comes to crypto, because we know payments is like a big problem in traditional finance. I mean, even right now, we could go on to, Wise and transfer money overseas. We could use Zelle or Cash App, whatever it is. And it may seem fast, right? Like they get the transaction, it's great. But the problem is the actual settlement time, right? That's the big issue, because it's not actually instant. They take the money instantly, but the money doesn't get there instantly. It takes days. It costs quite a bit to move money as well. There's issues that plague the payment space in terms of the traditional market. So then we look at these projects in the space like Hadera, for an example, and you see the benefits immediately. I mean, you don't even have to transact. You look at the stats behind these networks, and it's so clear. The future around this space and the adoption around the space is so clear just from the transaction side of things. But there's actually a lot, right? There's a lot on Hadera that's happening when it comes to payments. Now, here we actually have the token fee breakdown. So this is actually to create a fungible token, right? $1. Associated token class with an account, 5 cents. Mint fungible tokens in a class, fraction of a penny. Transfer any sum of fungible token, fraction of a penny. And again, that also goes for stablecoins. And there's already so many stablecoin and payment rails already tapped in when it comes to Hadera. And again, we really kind of start to see the future around, finance and payments being created when it comes to also tokenization, which is also happening in a big way on Hadera. The future is not going to be you going into a bank anymore. It's you going onto your mobile phone through an app that is tied to a digital bank, and you're essentially your own bank. I mean, DeFi itself is pretty much you becoming your own bank. When it comes to Web3, I look at specific networks that are already tied to some big players and already integrated with some big players. When it comes to the Web3 side, there's so many great projects tied to Hadera around finance and payments. There's over 3 pages worth of projects that are tied to Hadera. But more specifically, there's big banks, okay? There's big banks like Standard Bank, Shinhan Bank. Like, these are major giants out there. And like I said, yes, more banks will be added to this list because of the Philippine banks launching that stablecoin on Hadera. This is just a starting point. It's kind of crazy that people don't realize how far ahead Hadera actually is in this space when it comes to the future of finance. And even when it comes to the enterprise applications under payments, banking, CBDC, and DeFi, here we have all of those significant connections. And again, you start to see those big payments players like Australian Payments Plus coming up. BitGo is also a big player around institutional payments. DropCC already tied to the FedNow service. MTech around CBDCs, big player as well. And here we also have a few other ones over here like Worldpay, Standard Bank, DLA Piper, and my big focus here is actually Worldpay. And the reason why is because of trillions of dollars. When we go over to Worldpay, specifically the breakdown of how they're using Hadera, we actually have that Worldpay addresses this challenge in terms of the concerns about, backing in terms of stablecoins. They're actually addressing this challenge with an innovative proof of reserve system built on Hadera, providing cryptographic evidence that stablecoins are fully backed. And here we actually have a little bit of a breakdown. So 50 billion plus transactions processed annually by Worldpay, 1.3 billion plus payments processed in stablecoins in 2023. It's actually up to 10 trillion now for the actual stablecoin market. And I'm not just talking about what Worldpay is doing, because this is Worldpay numbers. They actually moved 1.3 billion in 2023, but the stablecoin market just moved $10 trillion last year. Pretty wild. So here we have 2028. $2.8 trillion plus projected value of stablecoins by 2028. Guys, it's 2025. 3 years from now, the market of stablecoins is going to grow from 220 billion to 2.8 trillion. That is a massive growth. And again, when we think about, what players are going to be behind this, we look at the giants. Worldpay is an absolute monster. And them tapping into Hadera for something like this around stablecoin initiatives shows you a clear path forward. If stablecoins are going to grow from 220 billion to 2.8 trillion, just imagine how big Hadera will be during that entire time as well. If Hadera is the one tracking the proof of reserves for stablecoin issuers or just stablecoins in general. I'm actually very excited about this. Now, again, who is Worldpay? Well, they're just one of the biggest players out there. Now, they recently separated from FIS. FIS is a huge player, but they recently separated from FIS, but their numbers are still very significant. In fact, we have 225 markets, 146 countries, 135 local currencies, and $2.3 trillion processed annually. 1 million plus merchants worldwide and 140 million plus daily transactions. Again, a giant in finance. And also, when you look at some of the players that are tied back to Worldpay, you have Amazon, United, Etsy, Experian, Wayfair, Booking.com. And these are just a few, because look at who they serve. These are all of the industries. You also have business types up here as well. Industries. You also have partner types. I mean, guys, they're working with some of the biggest names. Here's restaurants as well. Like, look at all these restaurants. I'm sure that you guys know a few of these restaurants. We look down the list to, like, let's just say retail as well. Here's those retail companies. Again, Amazon coming up, Target as well. I mean, the list just goes on here around who they're serving, and it shows you how big of a name Worldpay actually is when it comes to the behind the scenes of finance. But also, they are fully engaged with crypto. They are aware of how big crypto will be, and that's why they are fully focused on the best in class tech, and that's why they have a partnership with Hadera. Now, when we talk about this, we go over here to this video from HaderaCon, and a big shout out to Da Vinci Graph actually for this. We have HBAR is on fire. This is the head of crypto partnerships at Worldpay, a global payment processing company that helps businesses accept and manage payments. Check this out.
Hey everyone, Ahmed Zivsaf here. I lead crypto partnerships at Worldpay. Worldpay is one of the largest financial institutions that processes payments globally.
By the way, the lady on his left, she's actually the one from Swift that everyone made a huge deal about. Worldpay should be fully focused on this entire time because of their connections back to Hadera, their confirmed connections back to Hadera, the confirmed partnership that they have, and how they use Hadera.
So think trillions of dollars in payment flows, 12% of global credit card transactions. My remit is primarily all of our on-chain activity. So everything from stablecoin settlements, stablecoin payouts, giving our merchants access to the latest in DeFi and sort of financial payment innovations is my entire world right now.
What are the key drivers do you see for this kind of upswing in the use of payments, use of crypto with payments, and what are the barriers to it even going even further? Ahmed first.
Yeah, I would say broadly, you look at high cost of capital around the world, so businesses who want to get access to their capital quicker and faster. Stablecoins as a technology primitive really does enable you to transact a lot quicker, a lot cheaper, a lot more efficiently, and be able to use that capital, whether it's yield bearing, whether it's lending. You have a lot of different options in that respect. I think kind of in tandem with that high cost of capital sort of economy that we're operating in globally, you have inflation risk, currency risk. So you're seeing a lot of the emerging world want access to the US dollar. This sort of is one of the easiest or most accessible methods for both users and businesses to really participate with those assets. So I think what you're seeing is a lot of interest in getting cheaper, faster, better payments, getting access to the US dollar in ways you might not have been able to before. And now we have a lot of the different infrastructure and trust across the ecosystem to really allow you to do that at scale. So it's something at Worldpay we've been experimenting with and deploying for the last couple of years. But I would say this year, kind of to your point, it's one where we really want to get focused on how do we really boost stablecoin settlement, payouts, pay by stables, pay by crypto as initiatives that we can enable our merchants to have sort of great success globally in letting their consumers and their merchants really grow their businesses in that way.
Cool. Ahmed, on the merchant side, I mean, Sushil just mentioned kind of small merchants, but you've got one of the biggest merchant networks in the world. Are you seeing demand from merchants to accept stablecoins, and are there kind of places in the world where it's more prevalent than others?
Yeah, I think it's like a very interesting topic to see. And I think a lot of people have different perspectives depending where they are in size, where they are in crypto native versus not. I would say the big learnings I've had or the big insights I've had is that global companies that do a lot of payments, sort of the gig economy giants that we know today, the Airbnb, the Ubers of the world, these are the types of companies where they have very complex payments that they have to constantly do on a regular basis. Think of every driver around the world, think of every host around the world. When you think of something like stablecoins, you start to now imagine a much better, more sophisticated payment system where you can pay people out globally instantaneously or close to instantaneously, and really start to create this effect of a bunch of people around the world, businesses, individuals who want to hold cryptocurrency because of the advantages that they have. I think you also have this big interest and demand from capital-intensive businesses. So think your remittance companies, your money service businesses. I would say for the past few years, these companies have, in secret or in hidden in their back end, been using stablecoins to do things like FX and cross-border payments a lot more swiftly. But I would say from a crypto payment side, I get pitched a lot and I see a lot of data on luxury, airlines. These are all major verticals that people want to pay with crypto. I would say there's still probably a gap in terms of where merchants are seeing their consumers are in demand for it. But from like a pure technological advancement standpoint, I would say you want to pay out global suppliers, users almost instantaneously. Stablecoin tech is really what they're exploring today and what we're trying to help enable them with.
That's fantastic. I'd like to switch tack now to talk about interoperability and standards. From my perspective, I think these are problems that need solving in order that we can really truly scale and embrace the potential for programmable digital money.
Yeah, I would say when it comes to interoperability, obviously you see a proliferation of stable coins being issued today, infrastructure companies, everyone is interested in this market that's coming or this market that we're currently seeing growing. So from a Worldpay perspective, when you think of interoperability, if we have a merchant that wants to settle in a particular stable, but then they want to pay out in a different type of stable or they want to accept in a different type of currency, we have to think about how do we do those conversions, how do we create payment flows that are interoperable so that you're not losing efficiency from the technology unnecessarily. But I would say it's still a bit early to understand where will be the biggest sort of technological demand exist. So keeping yourself flexible and interoperable basically allows you to take advantage of those moments or those opportunities as they come about. But yeah, I would say it's still a bit early. So there's only a few players I think who are really focused on this interoperability layer. Keeping close with them obviously gives you a lot more access.
Yeah. You mean things like Chainlink, CCIP,
Chainlink,
CCTP,
Layer 0.
Layer 0.
Yeah.
Now, what's crazy about this is coming from Worldpay, one of the biggest players out there, and he already confirmed that they're in discussion with many players out there for stablecoin initiatives when they use Hadera for the proof of reserve system for stablecoins. It's all built out on Hadera. So when we think about one of the biggest players like Worldpay tapped into Hadera, if we think about the future of finance, even he said like this is basically the introduction to the future financial system, because stablecoins are becoming such a crucial piece of everything. I mean, almost every single major business out there, Stripe, for an example, like these are payment businesses that enable massive amounts of e-commerce businesses. They're tapped in with crypto in a huge way. MasterCard tapped in with crypto in a huge way. PayPal tapped in with crypto in a huge way. Reserve banks, central banks, they're all looking at crypto. So when we think about stablecoins, when we think about digital assets, yeah, the actual financial system that we know today is going to cease to even be recognizable in another 5 years because of how fast adoption is actually heating up. But think about how big some of these players like Hadera will be at full scale adoption and utilization through players like Worldpay, for an example. I'm actually very excited about the future of this space, especially companies like Hadera. And, I just think that everyone needs to really sit back and just realize the actual scale in which, we're really kind of trading at now versus where we will be in, say, for sale 5 years when, the market is well over, I would say $10 trillion. I think that we will be well over $10 trillion plus dollars by then. They're projecting stablecoins to be 2.8 trillion by 2028. Tokenized assets will be around 16 trillion by 2030. Custody of tokenized assets sitting at about 10 trillion as well. So just think about how massive this entire industry will be by 2030. It's insane to even think about right now. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.